End Time Elijah. A tribute to Herbert W. Armstrong.
God would want me back because someone was got to put a little life into this church. That's why I'm back here. That's why I didn't stay dead. There's a reason.
Now in Romans 11:13, the Apostle Paul said, He magnified mine office. He magnified the office the Lord gave him. Notice it didn't say he magnified himself. He magnified his office by fulfilling his office, by giving every ounce of energy, vim, vigor, and vitalation, however that saying goes. He gave us all for it. And he magnified that office, and that's why most of the New Testament are written by this man, the Apostle Paul, in Romans 11:13, who magnified his office. And the 5 main offices of the church are listed in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11. First, it's the apostles. Secondarily, prophets. Third, evangelists. Fourth, preachers. Fifth is the teachers. And just for more information, Ephesians 3:5 says, new revelation only comes to the church through the apostles and the prophets. And as you know by now, if you've been watching my videos, how Mr. Armstrong taught that there's no prophet over God's church in the New Testament time because the Bible is a complete book now for our time. When the church first started, all they had was the Old Testament. So the Bible wasn't complete yet. A lot of Christians just take for granted we have a whole complete Bible we can just pick up and have them on the shelf. When when the church first was founded, they didn't have almost none of the New Testament. Maybe like the book of James or something. All right, so let's look at Matthew chapter 17. And we'll read verses 10 through 13. Matthew 17, 10 through 13. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias must first come? Elias is the untranslated Greek word for Elijah. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. Notice this Elijah hadn't come yet. Jesus said he shall first come and restore all things. I'll keep that in mind because it will come out later. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then, notice this now, verse 13, then the disciples understood that he, Jesus, spake unto them of John the Baptist. John the Baptist, he fulfilled the office of Elijah for Jesus Christ's first coming, preparing the way before him. John the Baptist was not literally Elijah, or Elijah raised from the dead or anything like that, but John the Baptist fulfilled the Elijah office at the time before the first coming of Jesus Christ. Let's prove this even more. Let's go now to Matthew 11, verses 13 and 14. Verse 13 says, For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. Talking about John the Baptist. Prophets and law talks about the Old Testament. And most Christians don't realize it, but John the Baptist was the final prophet, you could say, of the Old Testament. Jesus started the New Testament, the New Covenant. Verse 13, or 14. And if ye will receive it, this is Elias or Elijah, which was for to come. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. So see, John the Baptist fulfilled that Elijah office before the first coming of Christ. Let's go to one more prophecy about Elijah to come. And Elijah, the original Elijah, he's dead and he knows nothing because the dead know not anything according to the scriptures. But the office didn't die with that man Elijah. Because remember, after Old Testament Elijah died, then his predecessor Elisha fulfilled the office, took up the mantle. See, and then that office didn't die with Elisha either, nor is that office vacant. See, it's the office that I believe you understand what I'm saying. If you don't, rewind it from the beginning and build yourself up. Bless God. All right, so Malachi is an easy one to find because it's, remember, it's right before Matthew. And almost every Christian can find the book of Matthew, no problem. So Malachi 4 through 6. Remember ye, I think there's something in chapter 3 too. Yes, chapter 3 verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. Now chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. And remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded him unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So as we've explained now, John the Baptist fulfilled that office before Elijah's first coming. But when John the Baptist died, that office didn't die with him. And it was prophesied, let's go back to where we started now, Matthew 17. Matthew, it's right in front of me. Matthew 17, let's read 10 through 13 again. One more page over. There we go. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elias or Elijah must first come? Because Malachi says that. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things. Notice again, this Elijah is the future tense, shall come. He hadn't come yet. Verse 12, But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not. So obviously, Jesus is referring to two different men, but the same office. Because this Elias that come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they have listed. That was John the Baptist that got thrown in jail by King Herod over saying it was unlawful for him to marry his brother Philip's wife. So John the Baptist was thrown in jail for upholding the truth of divorce and remarriage, and eventually he got his head cut off. And Jesus, remember, didn't start his ministry until John the Baptist was cast into prison. Then Jesus came into Galilee preaching the gospel of the kingdom. All right, likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. Okay, zoom in on verse 11. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. John the Baptist restored nothing. He merely preached a message of repentance to believe on the one to follow him. There was a man to come to fulfill the Elijah office before the second coming of Christ. Thus why Christ says Elijah truly shall first come, yet in the next verse, verse 12, he says Elijah's come already. So he didn't change his mind. He's talking about different people, but the same office. So that man who fulfilled the office of Elijah to prepare the way for Christ's second coming to his church, was Herbert W. Armstrong. In 1978, Mr. Armstrong was medically dead. His heart had stopped and he was turning blue. And the thing that measures the heartbeat had flatlined. All right, so Mr. Armstrong, God actually raised Mr. Armstrong from the dead in 1978, and Mr. Armstrong lived an additional 7 years after God raised him from the dead. And within those 7 years was Mr. Armstrong's best work by far, because he fully embraced his office. And what I mean by that is, perhaps people not unfamiliar with Mr. Armstrong would think he just did this to exalt himself. Well, no. He magnified his office, but it was first brought to him by church people who believe perhaps he's end-time Elijah, because he had pointed out a lot of things in the Bible that have been overlooked by tradition. And at first, Mr. Armstrong refused to accept this office, or the title of end-time Elijah, because he thought it was just the devil and pride and trying to get him puffed up with pride and off track. And so when he fought it, he had good work, really good work. But after 78, after God raised him from the dead, like I said, is when Mr. Armstrong fully embraced this office and that full anointing flowed. And that's why during or after 1978, in my opinion, are Mr. Armstrong's best work. For example, what science can't discover about the human mind. The incredible human potential. And just so you know, incredible means without credit, not credible. So it's actually an insult. So I'll usually say as the credible human potential or the awesome human potential. Look up what these words mean. Okay, we're sticking a tribute to Mr. Armstrong. World peace, how it will come. Never before understood why humanity cannot solve its evils. Where is the true church? The Bible, superstition, or authority? A world held captive. Are we living in the last days? And then he had a final update version of The Wonderful World Tomorrow, The United States and Britain in Prophecy, The Missing Dimension in Sex, and of course, his final and greatest work, Mystery of the Ages. So this is the tribute to Apostle Armstrong this year. He magnified his office, and that's what this Brave Warrior Channels magnifies, as the office that this man fulfilled. It's not about the man, it's about the truth the man was flowed through by God to restore to God's church. And if Mr. Armstrong wrote any other additional dynamite booklets other than these, or books, I don't know, these are just ones in my own personal library that continuously is expanding. So I got another video coming up. Actually, I got a few more hands-on videos because the library has been multiplying very well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And the tribute to Mr. Armstrong's death is January 16th. So 2 days from now, because this is being uploaded on the, Friday, January 14th, 2022.
And God has sent me to the kings and to the tops of nations even. And this gospel of the kingdom is going to all the world. Now what is going to happen? The hydrogen bomb has come. And you will read back in Ezekiel, the 6th chapter, that all of the great cities are going to be leveled and destroyed. I'm telling you that a time more terrifying than anything that ever happened is soon going to happen in this world. It's time we wake up. It's time we get our eyes open. We have lost God. We have forgotten God. And God is going to step in. Satan is ruling this dark world, and it's an unhappy world. And God has sent me to preach this gospel. The other ministers, the other churches are not preaching that gospel of Jesus Christ. They preach about Christ, but they don't preach his message. They preach about the messenger, but they don't preach the messenger's message. They ask Christ what will be the end of the world. The end of the world is when this gospel of the kingdom is preached and you are seeing it. You're seeing me here, I'm preaching it. And I'm here to announce to you tonight that God is going to let this world come crashing down. But it's going to be replaced with a far better world that'll be filled with love and with peace and joy and happiness and with greater production by far than anything we've dreamed of having yet, and where everybody will be well educated and rightly and properly educated. I feel the responsibility, and a voice has to cry out in this wilderness of religious confusion, this wilderness of a Babylon of ideas, and everybody having different ideas and everybody against everybody else. Someone has to cry out with that message and announce what is going to happen, as certain as the sun is going to rise and set tomorrow. Now, I know you haven't heard anything said like this before, but I have been sent here by that eternal living Creator God, the God over all races and all people and all nations, to tell you the truth, which missionaries have failed to tell you, which religions have not known and have not been able to tell you, which the colleges and universities do not teach, which science doesn't even understand. But you have been told tonight.